A shocking alert has shaken the gospel community. Pastor Lovy Elias has come forward, directly confronting Pastor Brian Carn with a powerful warning. This stops here. Fans are left speechless. Rumors are spreading fast, and tensions have never been higher. But beneath the surface lies much more hidden conflicts, insider whispers, and controversies that have rarely come into full view. Stay locked in, because the truth behind this explosive clash is jaw-dropping, and you won't want to miss a single detail. The gospel world has been rattled by a face-off between two of its most well-known leaders. Pastor Brian Carn, long admired for his fiery preaching and widespread influence, now finds himself under direct fire from Pastor Lovy Elias, who declared boldly and without hesitation, "This ends now." That statement alone sent shockwaves through churches, social media platforms, and the wider faith community. In this video, we'll take you behind the headlines. You'll see the chain of events that built up to this dramatic moment, the long-standing history between these two pastors, and the responses pouring in from fans, ministers, and insiders alike. We'll dive into the disagreements, disputes, and all tensions that may have been brewing for years, along with shocking details the public has rarely been shown. You won't believe some of the exchanges and behind-the-scenes revelations that have now surfaced. By the time you reach the end of this video, you'll understand why this showdown has gripped the gospel community and why it carries weight far beyond just the two men at the center of it. Stick with us, because the full story is even more explosive than the headlines make it seem, and the truth may catch you off guard. To fully grasp the magnitude of this confrontation, it's vital to know exactly who Pastor Brian Carn and Pastor Lovy Elias are, and the history that built up to this very moment. Pastor Brian Carn has long been a respected figure in modern gospel, celebrated for his passionate sermons, magnetic leadership, and undeniable presence across both church and media. His ministry has expanded to touch thousands worldwide, earning him praise for his spiritual insight and dynamic style of preaching. On the other hand, Pastor Lovy Elias has carved out his own reputation, recognized for an impactful ministry and a fearless, outspoken approach to leadership and doctrine. He's known for directly confronting what he sees as problems within the gospel community, often calling out behaviors, practices, or even leaders who, in his view, stray from biblical truth. That unapologetic style has earned him both strong allies and intense critics, cementing his place as one of the most polarizing figures in faith circles today. The history between Carn and Elias runs deep. While both operate within the same overlapping spheres of gospel leadership, their methods, perspectives, and approaches have stood in contrast for many years.
Sources familiar with the matter reveal that clashes have emerged over doctrinal views, ministry direction, and even personal behavior. For a long time, most of this friction stayed hidden behind closed doors, but now what was once private tension has burst into the open, thrusting these long-standing conflicts into the public eye. The situation truly escalated when Elias delivered a stern warning to Carn, declaring firmly, "This ends now." Insiders claim this declaration isn't just a simple disagreement, but rather the result of unresolved issues that have been piling up for quite some time. The backdrop of this warning includes earlier communications, possible misinterpretations, and conflicting ministry visions that have strained their connection. But here's the twist that keeps this entire saga compelling. Some close sources believe this warning could merely be the start of even bigger revelations. Behind-the-scenes disputes, potential legal or organizational consequences, and further public responses may still come to light, possibly reshaping how both pastors are viewed. This has left the gospel world on edge, watching carefully and waiting for the next move in a drama that could redefine leadership, accountability, and public conversation across the faith community. Coming up next, we'll dig into the exact confrontation that set off this storm, unpacking precisely what Pastor Lovy Elias declared, how Pastor Brian Carn reacted, and the immediate fallout that spread across both social media and the gospel world. You won't want to miss the critical details that turned what started as a private disagreement into a viral flashpoint, captivating audiences everywhere. The tension between Pastor Brian Carn and Pastor Lovy Elias finally reached its breaking point when Elias issued a public statement that left the gospel community stunned. "This ends now." This wasn't said in private. The warning appeared across social platforms, interviews, and gospel news outlets, immediately seizing the attention of fans, ministers, and commentators. The bold declaration revealed serious grievances and sent a clear message that the friction had moved far past private differences and into full-scale public scrutiny. Pastor Brian Carn, respected for his calm demeanor and strong influence, chose to respond carefully, balancing a defense of his ministry while showing consideration for the wide audience closely observing the unfolding drama. Though he avoided engaging in a direct back and forth at first, insiders confirmed that Carn held private discussions with trusted advisors to carefully plan his next step, knowing that every single word would carry enormous weight. In the eyes of both critics and supporters, his response required precision. The fallout was immediate. Fans flooded Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube with trending hashtags, reaction threads, and heated debates. Some threw their support behind Pastor Carn, praising his measured and composed reaction. Others rallied behind Pastor Elias, viewing his warning as a necessary move to confront what they perceived as misconduct or doctrinal drift. The division within the community underscored not only the influence these pastors command, but also the fierce loyalty and scrutiny their followers uphold. Gospel and Christian news outlets quickly amplified the clash, breaking down every phrase of Elias's declaration and dissecting Carn's response. Clips, screenshots, and commentaries spread across platforms, igniting heated discussions online. Many observers pointed out that this confrontation represents something bigger within the gospel world: the question of how conflicts between powerful leaders are handled in an age where social media can broadcast disputes instantly to millions. But here's the shocking layer most outsiders don't see. Insiders report that this public showdown may only scratch the surface. Private exchanges point to far deeper conflict spanning organizational choices, personal tensions, and even potential rivalries across overlapping ministries. What Elias likely intended as a catalyst for resolution instead set off a storm-fueling speculation, dividing opinions and magnifying scrutiny on both pastors every step. And beyond the immediate clash, other influential voices in the gospel industry have now weighed in. Respected leaders, fellow pastors, and gospel artists have offered their input, some publicly, others behind closed doors, analyzing the feud and sharing thoughts on how it might be resolved. These reactions shine a light on the immense pressure gospel leaders face, balancing integrity, accountability, and influence while handling personal disputes in full public view. Social media, too, has been a driving force in intensifying the drama. Viral clips, commentary videos, and heated threads pushed Elias's warning into the spotlight, making it impossible for either pastor to resolve things quietly. The situation reflects today's reality, where ministry and celebrity overlap, and public opinion can shift in an instant. Narratives are only shaped by official statements, but by how audiences interpret, remix, and spread every detail. And here's the suspense that keeps this story alive. Insiders hint that new statements, interviews, or clarifications may still surface from either pastor potentially dropping fresh revelations or pushing the conflict even further. In other words, this saga is far from finished. The gospel community waits anxiously to see whether the outcome will be reconciliation, escalation, or some kind of resolution. Coming up next, we'll break down the broader impact this confrontation is having on the gospel community, ministry leadership, and the role of social media, examining why this feud resonates so deeply with audiences and why it has grabbed nationwide attention. Because when two powerful voices like Pastor Brian Carn and Pastor Lovy Elias collide, the effects don't stop at their pulpits or congregations. The ripples spread across the entire gospel landscape, affecting pastors, church members, gospel artists, and even secular audiences who are captivated by the unfolding drama. This confrontation is about far more than two men of God exchanging words. It reflects deeper issues of leadership, accountability, and the way ministry is being shaped in this new era of digital influence. The gospel community, historically rooted in unity, worship, and fellowship, is now faced with navigating a time where conflicts among leaders rarely stay private. Instead, social media has transformed these disputes into public spectacles where hashtags trend, video clips go viral, and every phrase is dissected by millions. In this situation, Pastor Lovy Elias's stern warning and Pastor Brian Carn's composed response have become flashpoints for heated debates over what defines true leadership and faith. Believers, churchgoers, and followers have found themselves Divided right down the middle, many of Pastor Carn's supporters argue that the warning was unnecessary and harmful, insisting that spiritual leaders should resolve their differences privately instead of putting them on display for the world. Elias's backers, however, counter that accountability is crucial even if it requires calling someone out publicly. The outcome has been fiery debates in church forums, online live streams, and even Sunday sermons where pastors themselves are using the controversy as teachable moments. This divide underscores a sobering truth. While united by faith, the gospel community is not immune to the same factionalism and polarization that dominate politics and popular culture. Sides are being chosen, and the ripple effects are shaking congregations, conferences, and collaborations throughout the Christian landscape. And the role of social media in all of this cannot be overstated. Platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter have amplified the drama to staggering levels. Clips of Elias declaring "this ends now" have been shared thousands of times, often stripped of context, fueling arguments driven more by emotion than by fact. Reaction videos from influencers, gospel commentators, and even secular bloggers have only magnified the situation. On YouTube, for example, multiple commentators have posted hour-long breakdowns analyzing every word, every pause, and every gesture from both pastors. While entertaining, these breakdowns often intensify the drama, framing it as a clash of giants rather than a nuanced disagreement. This creates a feedback loop. The more people watch, the more creators respond, and the larger the story grows, spinning beyond the control of the very pastors at the heart of it. And this brings us to a true test of leadership in the digital age. What makes this moment so fascinating is how it showcases the shifting definition of leadership itself. Decades ago, disputes between pastors might have been settled quietly in small church councils, with few outsiders ever aware of them. Today, leaders like Carn and Elias are not only pastors, they are public figures, influencers, and in many ways, celebrities. Their words and actions carry immense weight not only in their congregations, but also across global digital platforms, where millions are watching, analyzing, and passing judgment. This conflict raises a pressing question. How should today's spiritual leaders balance accountability, authority, and the power of digital influence? Should disputes be aired in public for the sake of transparency? Or should they be kept private in order to preserve unity? For many, this situation goes far beyond entertainment. It has become a real-time case study in how the church must adapt to modern culture and a reflection of the wider fascination society has with public conflict and leadership in the age of social media. What's fascinating is that this story has spilled over into mainstream chatter. Secular media outlets and entertainment blogs have picked it up, framing it as a scandal or a pastoral showdown for audiences outside the faith. To many, it reads more like a reality show or celebrity feud, blurring the line between sacred ministry and entertainment spectacle. This mainstream coverage, while boosting visibility, has also raised concerns about whether the holy calling of ministry is being reduced to trivial drama. And here's where the suspense deepens. Whispers in the gospel community suggest that this isn't the first time Pastor Elias has issued private warnings to leaders he feels have gone off track. Insiders believe that his declaration, "this ends now," was not a sudden reaction, but rather the culmination of months, possibly even years, of behind-the-scenes strain. If those reports are true, then what we've witnessed may only be the opening act of a much larger storm. With online speculation running rampant, the pressing question is this: will this confrontation bring reconciliation and healing to the church? Or will it tear open even deeper divides that shake the gospel world to its core? To fully understand why Pastor Lovy Elias looked directly at Pastor Brian Carn and proclaimed "this ends now," we have to peel back the layers of this controversy. On the surface, it might appear to be a simple disagreement, but the truth is far more tangled. Insiders across gospel circles whisper about years of underlying tension, differences in theology, accusations of questionable practices, and personal clashes that have finally erupted into public view. This wasn't a random outburst. It was the climax of a slow-burning conflict that many claim had been simmering for years. So let's break down what may have fueled it. 1. Long-standing rivalries and competition within the gospel world. Both Pastor Carn and Pastor Elias are more than just church leaders. They are high-profile public figures with massive online audiences. Their sermons reach hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions, across the globe. With such influence in the same space, comparisons were inevitable. Followers often, without realizing it, pit their leaders against one another with questions like, who is more anointed? Who speaks more truth? Who delivers prophecies with greater accuracy? Over time, this constant comparison can breed an unspoken rivalry, even when both pastors publicly deny it. Multiple voices within gospel circles confirm that quiet contrast between Elias's rising reach and Carn's long-established platform started creating tension years ago. 2. Theological and prophetic disagreements. Another key factor lies in their teachings. Pastor Brian Carn has centered much of his ministry around prophetic declarations, boldly proclaiming insights about people's futures, blessings, or warnings. While this has earned him a massive following, it has also left him vulnerable to criticism, particularly when some prophecies did not unfold exactly as expected. Pastor Lovy Elias, by contrast, is often recognized for his meticulous teaching style, blending prophecy with practical wisdom. His approach is more measured, with a strong emphasis on discernment and caution against sensationalized claims or questionable teachings. According to some insiders, Elias's public warning to Carn may have been driven less by personal hostility and more by a desire to enforce theological accountability.